Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for Lucas. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp and a Patreon, which people have asked about. Feel free. It could be any topic, random tier list, ranking, movie news, movie review, re-review, video game playthrough for an hour or full playthrough, whatever the case may be. I'll get to as soon as I can. Reaction, commentary, what have you. And for those who sent them, thank you so much. I'll get it out as soon as possible, and we'll see how that goes. So thank you so much. So The NeverEnding Story, which is a 1984 film directed by Wolfgang Petersen, who directed quite a few films I enjoy. Outbreak, Air Force One, and The Line of Fire. Number of good films. And this was a fantasy film that I think a lot of it was made in, I want to say in Germany. I could be wrong on that. I know there's two cuts of the film. There's the release in Germany, which the music is a bit different. And I believe if you watch that version, you don't have the main theme song. You know, NeverEnding Story by Limal. I don't think the song is in that, but then there's the American version, which the music has a little bit more synthesizer bit to it. With I think it was Giorgio Moroder worked on it, and then that theme song. So I would say I prefer the American version. And the story is you have this kid played by Barret Oliver, who plays the character Bastian, who's 10 years old. Barret Oliver, he was in quite a few films in this era. Daryl, Cocoon the Return, of course this movie, and I guess as time went on, I don't know if he just retired, quit. I don't really know what's going on. Anytime I see pictures, he has this like big thick beard and seems like he just wants to be isolated, or I don't know what the whole deal is. So he's a kid who is very much head in the clouds. And his dad is played by Gerald McRaney, who I remember from the TV show Major Dad from back in the day. And you get the idea that the mom has passed away, and the dad, he's not in the film a whole lot, he's only in one scene. But even then, you tell he's a bit of a, like, he's being nice to his son, but he's also a bit prickly, where, you know, got disappointed he didn't join the football team, or the swim team, or whatever, like a sport, and you're drawing unicorns in your book that you're old enough to get your head out of the clouds. I'm like, he's 10 years old, you prick. 10 years old? What's this? What, he's 11, get a job? 12, he gets laid. And 13, he gets a divorce. And 15, a marriage again. And 15, another divorce. Like, shit, by the time he's 18, he's lived the whole life. Like, they don't really get into the backstory of the kid as to like what happened to the mom, or why Joe McRaney is this type of character, why he's so omnipresent of focusing like that his kid needs to grow up and all this stuff. I guess maybe the movie's just not about that, so it's not, I'm sure a lot of people feel it's not needed. I don't know if that's in the novel, if that's in the source material, any details about that, but you don't get a whole lot within the movie. So the kid goes to school, some bullies pick on him. I recognize one of the bullies. He was the character Belch in the 1990 Stephen King's It. He was one of the bullies in that movie. So in this, he's one of the bullies who throws our lead kid in the garbage. He's chased again. He runs to this butch shop place where you have this older man, got a bit of a mysterious glint in his eye, where the kid mentions how he loves books, and not just comic books, he loves actual books, and names all the books he's read, and how the guy's a bit intrigued by this. As though, well, you can't read this book that I'm reading. See, the ones you read is safe. And even later when the kid steals a book, the guy kind of notices, but then he smiles. I gotta say, I'm very I wish we could have known more about this butch shopkeeper. Like, what his whole deal is. Was in the same predicament as our lead kid, when he was 10 years old or 11 or 12 years old, did he go through the same thing? Did he go through the trial by fire? Was he known as the protector, the keeper of this book? I don't know. But I know they did 2 sequels. The third one had, well, the second one is the same character, and the third one is just that's an awful movie. But I don't know where they really got into the depth of some of this backstory. Maybe some people feel they don't need a backstory, but again, this book shopkeeper, I would have been intrigued to learn a bit more about him, what his story is. But sadly, we never see him again, at least not in this movie. So the kid gets to the school, he skips all the classes, which you would think the school would be calling the dad, so when the kid got home, he'd be a shit creek without a paddle. Like, hello, sir, was your son sick today? He never went to school. Well, I'm going to have to spank his ass. He's major dad, he's going to have some major pain for you. Beat the shit out of the kid. That'd be a different movie. But then instead he goes to the attic, he reads, and then the rest of the film is pretty much him reading the book, and then we see the remnants of the book of this world of Fantasia, where the story within is this nothing is destroying everything, and this hero named Atreyu, played by Noah Hathaway, which I didn't realize he was actually the star of that film Troll, the one with the, he played the character Harry Potter Jr., Michael Moriarty. Yeah, Michael Moriarty was the dad, and he does that goofy sing and dance. Summertime Blues, like lip syncing to it. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who will later be in Seinfeld, she becomes this like plant lady, dancing, and was it? Isn't Sonny Bono in that movie? And he turns to a plant. Very weird movie, not a good movie, but like Troll 2 is not good too, but it's much more memorable. Oh my god! But yeah. But yeah, this guy who was the Atreyu, he was in that film Troll, which I guess would have been after this. Which is sad, like you get NeverEnding Story, and then the next gig you get is Troll, so it's not really a kind of a downward slope. And pretty much his adventure with him and his horse trying to get this cure for the Empress, I forget her name, but this little girl, but she's the kind of the queen, the Empress of everything in this world of Fantasia. And I will say that the appeal of the film, the fun of the film, is seeing all of the entertaining special effects. You have a very lively score that fits the movie fairly well. Not just the theme song. The theme song is very catchy, makes you smile, gives you good vibes, good feelings all around. NeverEnding Story, la 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 la. Definitely one that people remember quite a bit. Which, didn't they do that in Stranger Things? They referenced that? I think they did. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Barely remember Stranger Things, at least the later seasons. But, like I said, the score worked, and the special effects. I mean, you have the rock biter, and the way they did the puppetry on that, and you have the snail, which you find out was a racing snail. Very cute design that works well. With sadly not in the film a whole lot. But you see a little bit. You see this bat that's mostly sleeping upside down until it wakes up and flies one of our characters. It would have been nice to see a bit more of those characters. Maybe it was a bit more of an adventure like a Wizard of Oz type of thing, where all these characters are together, and they did like some back and forth dialogue, and they on this journey to take care of business. But no, they pretty much appear in 1 or 2 scenes, and then that's it. It's interesting that the guy who rides the the racing snail, I believe, is Deep Roy, which he would appear in films later on. I think he was the same guy in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I know it just got brighter, like a nuclear explosion just happened, but bear with me. I just want to make sure I get the name right. Come on. Give me the cast. Yep, Deep Roy. Yep, Oompa Loompa and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's what I thought. Yeah, he's been episodes of X-Files and other episodes, so yeah. That's the Tim Burton film that he was in, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But I was saying, it's interesting, like, depending on which version you watch, is a very different voice actor. Like, in one, he sounds very Southern. Like, trying to be like a big old redneck. Golly gee! Like, I don't know, trying to be Gomer Pyle or something in one cut of the film. I would say I prefer the American dubbing of that voice better. Because the one overseas is like trying to be Slim Pickens or Gomer Pyle, which is a very weird choice. But the other creatures that Atreyu come across, there's the big bad wolf type of creature that at times is chasing him, and I do like the idea that you don't see a whole lot of it. A lot of times it's kind of hidden in a cave, and when it comes out it has this kind of sinister look. Now the puppetry on that, there's a little bit lacking because at times it talks and the lip syncing is not 100% correct. Like sometimes he's talking and sometimes the lips don't quite match the dialogue. And maybe of the creatures, that one looks the most puppetry. Like, it does look like a giant puppet, but I still like sort of the sinister edge they're giving the character. There's something about it I think works for this kind of family, well, yeah, fantasy film. I guess you say family film in a way. Although there are dark aspects, I would say that the two things people remember the most is the ending of the film, which I'll get to, and the bit where Atreyu has his horse and they go through this, these called kind of quicksand type of area, and the mud of sorrow, and the horse is going down. He can't get the horse out, and the horse is like looking at him, like, get the fuck out of here. And he just goes down to his death, really. Which a lot of people felt sorry for. Because, you know, you're a kid, and hey, it's a nice, pretty horse, and then the horse dies. You went, oh, shit, okay. Not taking any prisoners in this, I guess. Granted, it's not like the horse blew up or got his head shot off or something, but still, I'm sure it was probably traumatizing for kids going, what the fuck? I did see this back in the day, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I mean, I was watching like Predator and, you know, other stuff, so as one of those, oh, that sucks. You know, that I guess that was my rationale even as a kid. Sucks to be him, glad it's not me, type of thing. But the other creatures, you have the old turtle that Atreyu gets to and pretty much says lines like, we don't even care whether we care or not. I'm like, great, so he's she's a nihilist. I don't know, just the way the turtle looked, for some reason, I'm sorry for this comparison, but remind me of Judi Dench. Sorry, Judi Dench. Sorry, I'm make you think you look like a turtle, but I can't. But when I saw that, and maybe it's like the way the voices just remind me of Judi Dench. And again, tossed like a nihilist. You know, they don't care about anything. They don't believe in anything. So, yeah. And I get what the story's trying to do. Is trying to. You have the nothing where when you have a lack of imagination and is defeating that purpose, how it could turn you into a different type of person, different type of individual, and how imagination really helps us be more unique human beings. Or if you're someone that just believes in nothing and stop caring, how you could be a miserable person. But if you still believe, you still have vibrance and energy, and that's what imagination and dreams and hopes are made for, and the importance of that for kids. I think maybe subconsciously a lot of kids felt that and could, of course, relate to that. And definitely the view of hope is the Lut Dragon Falkor, which I think is easily the most memorable creature, easily the best creature. I know Sister Ebert, I think it was Gene Sisto, said how it looked fake and goofy. Sorry, Gene. No. I thought it's not really like T-Rex at Jurassic Park in '93. Number one, that's 9 years later, but still, I thought it was very great design. It had a cute enough face where the kids could you feel a sense of warmth. I think the voice actor they got for Falkor worked very well, and having this friendly spirit that you could see would be on your side, that you could trust. And I think kids could see that, and I was not relate to it, but they would have a sense of security, of really enjoying and liking this type of character and the way the voice and in the little bits it did where it kind of have this smile on his face and do this wink. I think little kids would be happy and be even grown up is like, okay, that's just seems like a very heartfelt character. Again, you don't get a lot of backstory. You don't really get to know a lot of like where it really came from, and it's just there for its purpose of, I'm going to help you on your journey. Then where did it come from? Family, friends, like you don't know any of that. Maybe people understandably would say you don't need to know any of that. But still has a good, solid look to it. I think they did a great job on the puppetry of that. I thought the way the voice, the lip syncing, the winking, there's a little bit more solid effort put into that, maybe compared to the wolf. But again, the wolf worked for what it needed to do for the most part, although there is some discrepancy. But I thought Falkor was definitely my favorite of the creations that was showcased in the movie. And I would say that's what I got the most out of the movie was the fun effects to see. The fun world of Fantasia that is showcased with that creativity and that imagination that again kids could definitely relate to and view and enjoy, especially in this world where everything is done in such a digital CG, just fake fashion that it loses a bit of that magic. It loses a bit of that. It's hard to put in the words. Just something's lost, and that type of physicality you can see. That even though you know it's fake, it's still within the same room with these characters, and your escapism part of your brain can still, in a weird way, believe in what you're seeing on the screen. One thing I forgot about watches again is there's a bit where Atreyu goes and there's this test with these statues and these lasers. I forgot that the lasers had their big old titties out and a big old nipples, and I went in both versions. I'm like, was this? I looked at both versions, but yep, this was in both versions. So that's kids movies in the '80s. Now, granted, is it a big deal to me? No, because it's a statue, but still. Nowadays, it's like, oh, here's a kids film, and here's a statue of big old titties, big old bitties with big old nipples the size of my head. Not that I'm complaining about that, because as an adult, I do appreciate that. But damn, them statues have some big old titties. And it was one of those, like, and the camera kind of hones in on them for a bit. I'm like, I forgot about this. I can imagine like people watch this today and go, "What the fuck? Those are big old nipples." Maybe that's just me, but I call it a positive. But that's the '80s for you. That's the '80s for you. Even at kids' film, we got just some big old titties in there. Hallelujah. But then, long story short, the idea is that Atreyu is supposed to bring this child to the Empress, and that will fix everything. Everything's falling apart. Atreyu's riding Falkor. They get to where they need to go. Why is this human kid not here? The girl's like, well, because he doesn't believe. He doesn't think it's real. He's supposed to give me a name. The kid is reading this and is like, what? This can't be real. What the hell is this? What's going on here? Until he yells out a name. And then he kind of visualizes himself in the story. Like, people have lost the idea of imagination, creativity. There's not a whole lot of that in the world. But if one kid could have that much imagination, then we'll be reinvigorated and start anew. Now, up to this point, of course, you could see and view it as, this is all this kid's wild imagination. This is how wild and vivid his imagination is. He visualizes this stuff, and yeah, there's a storm going around in his school, but then it helps his imagination even more to viewing this book. But again, the fact that the shop owner is saying that the books you read are safe, and especially the ending kind of gives more to the note of, no, this is actually a real thing. This is actually a real fantastical predicament where I guess when this Atreyu was just this holding place, and the girl even mentions, just like this boy's watching your journey, someone's watching his journey. So trying to be very meta. So the girl was talking about us viewing this boy's journey, just like this boy's viewing Atreyu's journey, and that's why it's called the NeverEnding Story. Just like maybe right now, maybe there's someone out there watching a movie of me, right? It'd be a boring as hell movie, and I'm sure they'll want their money back, but fuck it. You're already paid, and I got your money, bitch. Fuck you. How about that? There's your story. But because that was always it's not a joke, but I always think, like, how it was false advertising? How is it? It's not a never-ending story. It ends. There's an ending. But obviously, at the end, they say there's more to the story, which I forget about the second film, and I know I've seen it, and I wasn't a fan of it, but I don't remember much about it. But I read up that the ending of the movie is not in the source material. The ending being, which is my favorite part of the film, is she's like, make a wish, or your wishes. He does, and he's riding Falkor. And then he makes another wish, whispers in its ear. They go into his world, and he scares the bullies. And you see that people in the crowd are scared. People in the crowd are freaking out. So I've had people tell me, no, this is still in the kid's mind. But that seems like a weird thing to do, where he just believes that he took on the bullies, and he just believes all this stuff happened. It doesn't quite work for the narrative. So it really does seem like, no, this was really part of the fantasy, where he's actually took Falkor to the real world, at least for a little bit. And you see all the other people reacting and being scared. Like, if it was all in the kid's mind, why would he have the other people scared? Like, if they wanted to imply that it was all in the kid's mind, then they should have had all the people go, yeah, or all right, son, or, thumbs up, and only the bullies be scared. No, this is meant to be, and they even confirmed, I think there was a making of the film where they confirmed that was the point. And the author of the story was mad about that. He was pissed. Because he even said, what does it mean that this is real? Like, this is all supposed to be the fantasy, like, this kid's fantasy. But now you put it in the real world, it's like, you're making it a Disney movie. And then Wolfgang Petersen's like, yes, we are. And it got to a point where the author of the book, he did not like that ending at all, and he wanted to stop the film from being released. So I guess the film was either like already made, already completed, and then the author found out about the ending and said, nope, you're not releasing this movie. But then other people got in and said, well, they put all this money into it, they spent all this money to it, it's a big thing for the German film market. We can't just cancel this film and bury it, so fuck off, buddy, and we're releasing the film. So yeah, that's how much of a stickler the author was about that ending, which is ironic because I would say, like, other than the horse, that bit, I think this is the most recognizable part of the movie. Anytime, well, for most people, not all, for most people, if they think of the NeverEnding Story, they think of the ending with the boy riding Falkor. Whether throughout the sky, or later on steering the boys, that is the scene people remember. That is the scene people remember. And that's the scene I remembered when I was a kid. And then the narration says how, you know, there's much more stories, much more wishes, and the movie goes on from there. Now, granted, yes, as a narrative, it would have been nice to hear a bit more about the backstory of the kid and the father and what was going on with that. It's more of a case of just seeing the special effects and being entertained by this world they created. And that's kind of the narrative throughout the flick. Just the nothing isn't, I mean, it's a villain, but it doesn't really have a face unto itself. That's why they have the wolf character. I guess to somewhat give some kind of a face to a villain. Which even then, it's not really much of a fight, just it lunges and then it cuts away. And then you see that Atreyu has stabbed. Atreyu isn't really much of a character because he's a vessel for the viewer. That's really what it is. He's just a vessel for the viewer. In this case, Bastian. His only purpose is just, we need some kind of figure to move the story along for our kid to witness it. And I get that, but it just, for me, it just doesn't make him a strong, at least in my eyes, a strong character. It's just, you know, he wasn't a bad actor. I thought he worked well for what he needed to do. It's just, he doesn't really get to do a whole lot throughout his journey. Kind of just watching. He avoids the lasers, to be fair, and the wolf thing, but even by the end, Atreyu's like, well, what the hell was the point of all this? He's even asking, well, what was the point of all this? What was the point of me going through all this? And my horse died. What the fuck, lady? Tell me, bitch. You know, ready to smack the bitch. But it's really just like, we need to get through this story for you to come back here. And now the kid is invested enough, and now he's going to take over. Piss off, Atreyu. It's not your movie anymore. It's Bastian's movie more. So, which I know is not really a complaint or a fair complaint, but just one of those weird things with me watching the film where I do like the film, but it was never like an all-time favorite. Because these weird things that it's hard for me to put into words that why it bothered me a little bit. But I still think it's a good fantasy film. It's a good 80s fantasy film. It's got, you know, lively music, fun creations of these variety of creatures, Falkor especially. I think Barret Oliver does well as the lead kid. You know, it does have a nice message about the imagination. Don't ever lose that part of you. I mean, it does. I know there's a sequel, but it's not that good of a sequel. I was going to say, it makes you wonder what's going to happen next. And then there's a sequel, and then you're like, maybe I didn't need to wonder what happened next. Like, it would have been nice, like I said, that book, the shopkeeper, like, what was his story? But with all that said, it still works for its narrative, and it's still a fun enough movie that easily worth its price and what it got back in the day. Which I know, I guess there's a new edition, which very expensive. I forget who released that. Because they made it where it was like the book. I forget who the hell. Via Vision. 40th Anniversary Limited Edition 4K with a replica storybook. Australian, $250 Australian. I remember I was goofing on Wes CK, like, you don't buy that? You better buy that shit. And he's like, nah. I don't blame him. It's a lot. But I mean, I guess if you're ever wanting to buy it, it does have Disc 1, the US theatrical cut in 4K, restored from original 35mm, commentary from, I guess, a fan who's an author of a book. Disc 2, original US theatrical cut on Blu-ray, which has the older commentary with Wolfgang Petersen. Has that commentary I mentioned before. The book adaptation with producer-director Lisa Downs. Featurette on special effects. Feature with film music historian on the score. Features from older releases. Reimagining NeverEnding Story. The making of NeverEnding Story. Restoration. Disc 3, the German extended cut. Disc 4, this German extended cut, 4K on Blu-ray. Disc 5, Life After NeverEnding Story, the feature-length documentary. Which those Life Afters were kind of interesting. I did see the one on Fly the Navigator. And that was pretty neat, I gotta admit. That was a pretty neat thing. But yeah, and then you have this big-ass book. If you want that, I guess. But anyway, I guess if you wanted that badly, there you go. Nah, I'm good. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.